Hello everybody, my name is Kieran Trainer and welcome to my director's commentary for my short film Extraordinary. I will briefly be going through every single scene and explaining and analysing all the individual details as well as I can. I believe that the opening scene is the most important scene in the whole short film, as it is in any short film or film ever. Depending on the shots and editing, it establishes how good the short film is going to be. I decided to pose a question and answer the question in the same scene. The question is, why is Kieran packing? Why is he in such a hurry? It is answered at the same time as the question is posed, as we see the incident happening at college and we see him running away from it. I feel that this is a very powerful scene and it is very dramatic. When he uses his powers for the first time, you can hear a bunch of sound effects. One of these sound effects include an earthquake, a whoosh sound, a quiet and subtle electrical discharge, and then the music on top of that makes it sound a lot more dramatic. These sound effects do not occur throughout the rest of the short film, as this is the first time and most important time that he uses his powers, and I wanted to make that evident. There's a shot here where if you blink, you miss it. We see that Chloe has her phone up and she is recording the incident. This is quite key in the story of Extraordinary, as later we see there's a person in Scotland who watches the video and recognises Kieran, causing him to have a breakdown. However, this doesn't seem that important right now. I thought intertwining the two themes would have been very difficult, however I managed to compile them in the correct way. They are pretty much synchronised, as they are both leaving at exactly the same time. Therefore it makes more sense to the viewer. I feel like this is a very powerful scene, as not only do we see the repercussions of the incident, but we also see it happening. We can understand the main character to an extent, and we follow him throughout this journey. I think this is one of the best ways you can probably start a short film. The music I decided to add during post-production. I had no idea or intentions to add any music to my short film, but I feel as if the sequence is very basic and bland without any dramatic music to go along with it. It is a key technique of the dramatic genre, as music is used more and it is easier to make people understand the messages that you are trying to put across. It is easier to put some sad music on to make the audience understand that there is something sad happening. Adding music into scenes like this is probably the best bet, as it can probably go wrong in two different ways. If you say that a character is sad outright and you make it really obvious, then it feels fake and the message just doesn't feel right. However, if you don't help the audience understand, the message that you are trying to portray probably won't get across to them. Therefore, the rest of the short film will not make much sense to them, as a confused viewer cannot understand the emotions you are trying to portray. You can see the main character pulls out his phone here, and then it cuts to me walking past the title screen. The phone was something very important to add, as it is seen throughout the next couple of shots. The phone is used as a catalyst for the story. It links this scene to the next. It explains why he is going up to Edinburgh.
Half an hour on the train.
The narration begins here, and it is also a catalyst throughout the story. Not only for the beginning, but throughout the entire story. I decided soon after production that narration was an important thing to add.
What's the point?
As if certain things that I wanted to portray weren't portrayed well enough, the narration would help the audience members understand. It completely eradicated confusion and helped the story progress. Travelling through London was a very difficult thing for me to film. It would have been evidently more difficult if my father wasn't there to help me. I told him that I did not want him holding the camera, as I wanted this scene to portray the loneliness and individuality throughout this scene, which is why you will be seeing low-angle shots throughout this scene. However, if my father did not come, I would not have been able to get these establishing and long shots. As well as low-angle shots, there are also a few POV shots to further portray the loneliness and individuality throughout this scene. As it closes the travelling through London scene, you can tell that a lot of planning has went into this. I would not have been able to get the shot of the coach if I was not thinking ahead. Initially, the long shot of the interior of the coach was meant to be a lot longer, as I wanted a long dialogue speech. However, I thought that I was talking way too much throughout this scene, and it would take away from the scene and the story. So I decided against it. I also decided to not include Beth and I meeting, as I wanted to continue with the story as quick as possible. I didn't want the audience to think that he was feeling any happier just yet, and as if the incident is still affecting him. The alcohol acts as symbolism. It appears throughout many dramas to help the audience understand that the main character is going through a lot of pain, as alcohol is an antidepressant. I thought this shot was a good opportunity to create an establishing shot and introduction to Edinburgh. It also acts as symbolism as it is very bright outside and very dark inside. The high key lighting and expressive lighting techniques also appear throughout period dramas and throughout the drama genre. These shots are building up and as a setup so that the main character can have a speech. For an audience member, sitting there in a speech isn't exactly the most enticing thing to do, especially if the speech is just acting as information. So I made sure that there's a lot of shot changes throughout this speech, so that the audience members do not get bored.
Make you forget. Forget.
Here we see the main character getting angry, and I made sure that we can hear the glass shaking long before the shot actually appears, just to emphasize how angry the character is.
It was them. They made me do it. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything.
Hey, it's okay.
Similar to the issue in London with my father, it is exactly the same in Edinburgh. Thankfully I had my friends Caitlin and Ellie. They stayed close to the camera at all times, overall making the production a lot easier for me. The weather really was a shock, so before production I had to go into some shops and get some materials to cover the equipment so it doesn't get destroyed. As we move into the scene where Beth has her speech, you can tell that the audio changes. This is the beginning of an issue I faced throughout the entire production. You can hear it change and cut throughout the entire short film. And next time that I have a production like this, I will make sure that I put some more time and effort into getting the audio just right. As in this scene I am using a Zoom audio microphone, and throughout most of the short film I am using the camera microphone, so you can definitely hear a difference. I feel that if I used the Zoom audio microphone in many other shots, it would have got more emotion across. As in this scene you can hear a lot of voice breaking and voice cracks, which could be used in my advantage, to help get the character's emotions across. Oh yeah, and Greyfriar Bobby is actually a true story, so it's a nice nod towards Edinburgh lore. You can see throughout that POV shots make an appearance. This is a key convention of the dramatic genre. A key convention of the sci-fi genre is having the setting based in a futuristic city. I feel that placing it in Edinburgh helps put my point across, as it is very historical, and therefore is not futuristic. My point is that the sci-fi genre side of this short film is very subtle. It only appears throughout certain techniques. I really didn't like the deep fried Mars bars. Another convention of the sci-fi genre is having modern stereotypes, such as cyberbullying, which does appear throughout this entire short film. I made sure that throughout the entire short film, the camera is practically following me everywhere. That makes the experience a lot more personal, and the audience feel a lot more closer to the main character. Therefore it is easier for them to understand his pain, and probably feel happier when he is happy and feel his emotions whenever he does. Here is the first appearance of cyberbullying. He gets a text message from a classmate. I try to use abbreviations and slang to portray youthful bullying. If the text was well mannered, then the message would not have been nearly as effective. This scene when inside the joke shop was actually made up on the spot, as a replacement for another scene that we decided could not be possible. However, I feel it was a good alternative and worked either way. These long scenes also give a good opportunity for the narration to fill in the audience and progress the story. Not only did shooting Beth and I walking through these stairs help portray the passage of time, it also gave me the opportunity to show off Edinburgh, and I thought that was nice. Now this is when it takes a turn. Kieran receives another text message, but this time it is more aggressive, and even though he has been having a very nice day, this happens. Wow, another text. You know what, maybe I should just do it. I thought that was very sudden and shock-worthy, and probably would have surprised a few viewers. We learned from this that he is still affected from the incident, and is still in a lot of pain. Filming this one shot of me walking out the elevator was so difficult. My first attempt ended up with someone else being in the elevator with us. That was very awkward. Here I am using masking. I felt that it was very effective. Here I begin to use POV shots again, to make it feel more individual and personal. It also links with the drama genre. This two-shot unintentionally made another message come across, one that I did not mean to create. I feel like this is the first time Kieran realises and puts everything into perspective, and begins to share his pain with his girlfriend Beth. We can see that he begins to open up to her. As Beth leaves and Kieran relaxes, we see that his character has progressed and throws the phone away, ignoring the hatred. I decided to use this scene from The Greatest Showman to help get the message across that you cannot escape from it. Making him hear freak over and over again was a post-production idea, as I felt that it made the scene more intense and helped me get my message across, that he is struggling. Even though there are only glimpses, this acts as a flashback, which is a convention of the drama genre. Even though this is a dream state, he is facing his own fears. He remembers back to the incident and relives it, at the same time receiving feedback from his classmates, from what he thinks they think of him. As you can see, this is nothing but hatred. Maybe this is what he feels for himself. Is this him giving in, or is this him being exhausted from all the hatred? Perhaps it is both. Another convention of basic storytelling is if you want someone to get emotional or feel the emotion of the main character, you must not only show why, but you must also show the consequences, which is why we see him waking up. I feel like this scene is probably a very effective scene compared to many others, as we see him being really optimistic for once. However, it becomes evident that today will be one of the worst days of his life. We see this used throughout a lot of drama and/or dramatic scenes throughout TV shows. If something good is currently happening, you know that it's going to be bad later on. I intended this scene to be a lot more effective, much more effective than this scene of me getting run over. However, I had too much faith in myself. I am not a very good voice actor, which is something I will change next time. I will make sure that I am not the main character. I felt that these two shots here are very effective and are pretty fluid. Probably one of the best shots / transitions throughout the whole short film. This next scene is just dialogue, a speech that resolves, a speech that helps the main character get through the hatred and pain, a scene that makes the main character realise that he is much better than this, and that he can get past it on his own terms. This is practically the resolution to the whole film. Yoda is pretty bad here. As I said before, this is something I would change. This scene transitioning into him going back to college was a way that I could make the audience realise that the main character understands and is feeling better. This is him acknowledging the previous scene. I added slight colour grading to this ending scene to make it more bright and vibrant compared to the first opening scene, to further get the message across that this is better and it has been resolved. Two shots are about to appear that I was looking forward to editing. However, it did not turn out the way I wanted it to.
Your dog?
Hello?
Your fault.
Hey, could someone pass me a pencil, please?
Here.
I used masking to make the pencil appear as if it is floating. However, setting up for a masking scene requires the perfect setup, which I clearly did not do. I attempted to, but I will learn from my mistakes. You can see that it is slightly blurred, which does entirely ruin the scene for me. However, many people said it looks fine.
Thank you.
I introduced some more music here to further fit into the drama genre, to make sure that it links to the beginning, and so that I can introduce the credits. This final narration closes the story. I can be my own happiness. And this pan shot, I feel, finalises the emotions. We see someone else being friendly, which overall will help the main character. I hope this masking made up for the pencil. Here I used green text for my name, exported it and I then ultra keyed it and put myself behind the text. I wanted the credits to look very epic, as overall this is about my powers, and most superhero movies have epic titles. I feel like this is a cliche and stereotype that fits in well with sci-fi. Overall, I hope this director's commentary helped you understand my short film. I decided in the middle of the director's commentary that I wouldn't be going into too much detail. If you wish to know the analysis of colours and symbolism throughout the short film, amongst analysis of various other things, you can find that in my secondary research. Overall, I hope that you enjoy my short film and my director's commentary. Thank you very much.